What's up, everyone? So I am out here on my X260. I'm in Tijeras, New Mexico, doing some trail riding. It's a beautiful day out. I just finished installing the Gladiator 60 volt. This is the 60 amp hour one, so it's the big boy. You can see that not terrible amount of modifications with the seat riser needed to make it fit. I just basically needed to install these little kind of wishbone looking 3D printed pieces. So I immediately bumped it up to 15 kilowatts. I was running at 7 before with the my upgraded stock battery with a aftermarket A&T BMS in it. I'm also running a Warp 9 60 tooth rear sprocket, and I've got the primary chain, and this is the GLE BAC 4000. It's got that sweet aluminum heatsink that also protects it from rock damage. So we're gonna do some rides, see how this thing handles. 15 kilowatts so far has been quite crazy. It's you know, this battery is capable of 28 kilowatts. I can't imagine ever going up that high. I know it's not a good idea anyway, because your motor will get hot pretty quick and could potentially blow up, and those things are not easy to find right now, and they're not cheap either. So I'm going to keep it at 15 kilowatts, try to play it a little safe. It's still pretty high, but you know, this type of trail riding, there's a lot of slow sections, so you can't really be on it consistently like you would on the road or anything like that. So let's do some riding. So part of what I'm going to try to find out today is how much distance I can get with this new 60 amp hour battery. The stock battery is about 32 amp hours, so this guy should give me just about double the range. Now, because I've been running at 15 kilowatts instead of the 7 kilowatts I was with the upgraded stock battery, I probably will run through the battery a little quicker than I would if I bumped it back down to 70 kilowatts or 7 kilowatts. We'll see. I've done about 2.3 miles, and I think the battery is reading right at 86% right now. Still got plenty of life left. It never actually read at 100% when charging it. On my egg rider, it come up as 95%. So I'm gonna see what's going on there. It got up to 67 volts, which is pretty close to full voltage, but see if I can modify the BMS to eke a little bit more out of it. So right now I'm at 15 kilowatts, so you can see, you know, you can just crank the throttle and this thing just goes. I mean, I'm probably going 10 miles an hour, maybe 15, and you just rip it open a little bit and it brings that wheel right off the ground. This thing is an absolute monster now. Woo. And I am using a little bit of regen braking, not a ton. I don't like to use it when I'm in really tight stuff, because taking my thumb off the bars is not the funnest thing to do. So I might eventually get the regen foot brake, but we'll see. I wish I could try one first, because with the way the pegs are set up on this, I just don't know how easy it would be to reach the foot brake. I might end up having to do a foot peg drop to make it a little easier if I get the foot brake. I don't really want to do that because the ground clearance on this bike is already pretty low, and I already hit my pegs on a lot of rocks out here, so we'll see. That was way easier than my last videos. I think it's having that extra torque on the bottom end makes it much easier to really get through that. It gives you a little more confidence. What I'm noticing is on this type of trail, not really using the full power. I'm doing a lot less full throttles than I would before on 7 kilowatts. But the nice thing is that bottom end is just, I mean, it just pulls you. You see just a little twist there, kicked my rear end out. And that was on a bit of an uphill too. So, you know, this thing is just a monster right now. I'm guessing I'm going to get a little less range because it is about 50 degrees out today. So, it was nice and warm out. Probably get a good bit. Oh, got a little bit of a cutout there. Gave it some throttle and it didn't want to go. I was actually experiencing that when I first installed the battery. I took it for a spin around my block and it was just cutting out every time I tried to get on the throttle. And so I contacted GLE and they were awesome. They you know, like an hour after I emailed them, they were logged into my phone and doing software updates to the BAC remotely, which was fantastic. Great customer service. So we'll see if I keep getting those little cutouts. I might need another little tuning session from them. Woo! Heard a crack come from underneath the seat. Wanted to check that, make sure my subframe isn't breaking off. This section's too good to stop. Okay, so at this point I'm gonna do a quick check, just put my hand on the motor, see how hot it is. Same with the controller. So I've done about 8.18 miles and I'm at 69%, 61.6 volts left. With the stock battery, at this point I would usually be about 40 to 50%. So you know, I've got about 30% more than I normally would. So the BAC, cool to the touch. Motor is, it's warm. It's not so warm that I can't leave my hand on it, but it is definitely, it's definitely getting some heat. So it's kind of unfortunate right now. There's no easy way that I can find to check motor temps. I know that both eMoto Bros and GLE Greenline Engineering are working on an app, kind of a dashboard app for their BACs, and it looks like when that comes out, it'll have a reading for motor temps, which will be nice because when you're running at higher kilowatts, you know, the probably biggest failure point is going to be your motor getting hot and burning up, because they are only rated for, I believe, 8 kilowatts continuous. So running at 15, I'm, you know, essentially doubling that max power continuous. Now I'm not riding continuously, so, or I'm not on the throttle continuously, so hopefully it stays okay, but having a nice readout with a motor temp will be awesome. So that way, if you can kind of keep an eye on it, and if it starts to get into the danger zone, you can slow down, take a break for a few minutes. So let's keep moving. It's 8.19. Let's see how many miles we can get out of this thing. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little nervous. So I'm on a trail that I've never done before because it's too far out of reach for the stock range on the stock battery. So I've been wanting to check it out. I figured when I got this battery, it's a perfect time. It's probably gonna add an extra 10 or so miles to my normal trail ride, which is about 16 miles. And so right now I've done about 11 and a half miles, and I'm at 51% battery. And I'm only probably 2 or 3 miles into the bigger loop that I've never done before. So I essentially have to do those miles, and then I've got to get back, which is about another 6 or 7 miles to the trailhead where my truck is. So really hoping that I don't end up having to walk my bike back many miles, because that would suck, especially because I gotta be home to watch my Buffalo Bills take on the Chiefs in the playoff game. Some cool little section right here. Whew. Really liking this trail, so I'm hoping that I can make it, so next time I don't have to worry about it. I can just bomb through here. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. There's so much good single track in New Mexico, and so close to my house too. Oh, that was weird. Bike just totally kicked off for a second there. Wasn't responding to any throttle. It's back now though, but I'm at 49%, 59.4 volts according to the Egg Rider. I think the battery itself reads a bit higher than the Egg Rider by about half a volt. So if I had to guess, I'm probably right at like 60 volts realistically. The Egg Rider's a little off for some reason. But that little cutoff was kind of alarming. So that's the last thing I wanted out here, is to it's one thing to get low on battery, it's another thing to just have a controller die on you or something else go wrong to where you have to really manually push the bike the whole way out. All right, poker chip. So gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here. If I'm gonna try to do this full loop, which is another good bit of miles. I've done basically this much of the loop, if you can see this much of the loop that I've never done, and the whole rest of it. So it's like 3 to 4 times more than what I've done already, and I'm reading 49%. The other option is either go back the way I came or hit the road and take the road back home. I think I'm gonna go back the way I came just to play it safe. I really don't want to get stuck out here with a dead battery once I gain more confidence in the battery and its range, I may try again. So we're gonna head back. All right, here's that cool rock face. Came down a few minutes ago. It's gonna be interesting to see how easy I can get back up it. Gotta pick a good line here. Oh, and that was not a good line. Oh God. Woo! It's a big wall. Let's try this again. The tough part about this is just that hard right turn into the hill. If I could get a straighter run on it, it'd be much easier. Let's see. Woo! Oh geez. Wasn't clean, but I got there. So one of my favorite parts about the Surron, the Segway X260s, which is what I have, it's just how light it is and nimble. You know, I've had a handful of different dual sport bikes, dirt bikes, kind of always been into this type of thing, but being kind of a smaller guy, I never had the confidence to really do like those big rock walls. It's just those bikes are so heavy that the consequence of not making it is just way more, right? You got this big heavy bike that's got hot exhaust and all that falling on you. It gets in your head, makes it harder just from a mental perspective, I think. But with this bike, it's like, who cares if it falls on you? It weighs 100 and some pounds. It's no big deal. You just get back up and keep going. So I'm much more confident on it, and I feel like I can really try things out that I otherwise wouldn't on a bigger bike. So it's just my opinion. I guess the biggest downside to it is just the limitation of range with the batteries, which is why I went with the 60 amp hour Chai battery, because I really want to get as much range out of this thing as I can, so that way when I do ride with friends that have gas bikes, I'm hopefully not the limitations of the day, and then not having to stop because of me. But yeah, it's a blast. Highly recommend these things to everybody I talk to. And it's pretty funny how, oh God, that was icy. Pretty much every time I ride this thing, I get stopped by people who are super intrigued by it. Big rocks in the middle of the trail. Oh, there's a cactus. So I think I'm at about 36 or 37% battery right now. With the stock battery, as you get into this range, you know, the 30s, you really start to lose that low end ump. You know, just lower battery has less voltage, isn't going to give you the same power, or deliver it the same way at least. And so I'm waiting for this to open up and not be so snowy, so I can kind of get a feel for how much torque I have compared to how it felt when I first started today. yeah, it's still there. It's not quite as much. It feels toned down, maybe like 10%. Keep the wheel on the ground. That was not good. So you definitely didn't see that in the video. Oh man. But when they got squirrely, I went to put a foot down, just instinct, and I caught the back of my calf on the foot peg and it just dragged my foot. Whew. It did not feel good. As fun as it is to ride when it's sloppy like this, I must say, I do like dry weather a little more, I think. Riding on the dry dirt, you can go a lot faster and not worry about losing it. Thank you. Oh yeah, still got the off the line torque. Quite as much as speed, but still uncomparable to even the bypass battery. Oh jeez. Not close to that tree there. All right, finished up. So let's check out what we got. Oh geez. Okay, so I'm looking at, oh, I just turned it off for some reason. So I'm looking at 54.8 volts. It's reading that as 13%. And then my mileage, I managed to get 21.83 miles in, so not a ton, definitely more than I would have with the stock battery for sure. I'm curious to see what the BMS on the actual battery itself is reading. 16 now, so I pretty much got the battery as low as I'd really ever want to get it. You know, the lower you go, the more damage you're potentially doing, especially when you get below like 10%. So we got nice and muddy today. I built this little mud flap. I know there's a few versions out there, but they use rubber, and I have some really high quality urethane that I use for a different, it's actually for mud flaps for Land Cruisers. So I figured I'd cut it up and check it out, and I'm really liking it. You know, I went wide at the bottom, so that way it really covers the entire frame and then tapers up at the top, so that way you're not hitting it when you're riding. But so some things to keep in mind about the range. You know, it's cold today, so when I started out riding it was probably about 45-50 degrees, and then as I climbed up the mountain it got a lot colder, ton more snow. You know, even my GoPro battery was having a hard time keeping up. It was not getting nearly the amount that I normally get out of it because of the cold, so that definitely influences it. I think if it was a, you know, spring summer day, 60-70 degrees out, that would drastically increase my range. The other thing is, because it was so sloppy out here today, I was spinning just constantly. You know, I don't know if it'll come through on the video if you can hear it, but pretty much the whole first 10 to 15 miles, you know, it was just sloppy mud uphill constantly, just spinning everywhere. So I would guess that in a dry condition, which it normally is out here, it's pretty dry throughout the summer, so I'm guessing I would get a ton more miles based on not just spinning constantly. And you know, bigger back tire will definitely help with that. You know, the more traction I have, the less spinning I'm going to do, the less wasted range. But all in all, it was a good day. You know, I did also charge my phone the whole time. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm sure that definitely impacts it pretty, I wouldn't say significantly, but it definitely impacts the percentage that you're getting. So all right, well, thanks for watching. I'm gonna load her up and head home, and see you next time.